Okay, look, y'all, it's that time because every MMORPG has something very important that everyone always needs to know about. You know, maybe you're new to MMORPGs, maybe you just haven't realized this yet, but you need to know about this. That way it can increase your damage, increase your DPS. It's going to make you much more valuable in any of this content that you're running, whether it's raids, whether it's just, hard difficulty content. A lot of people will be very grateful if you have food and serums. So we're going to go over that and the importance of it. Like I said, this is a common staple in MMORPGs to be using food, but I understand that some people just simply may not know this and may not understand this. So that's why I'm here to help you out. Let's dive in. Hey, but first, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps out tremendously. Thank you very much. All right, y'all. So let's dive in here. We're going to talk about food and serums today. So the important thing to note here, first and foremost, is that food is going to give you buffs. So there's different types of food for each different types of thing that you want to be doing. So if you want attack, if you want endurance, if you want magical attack, you want all that stuff, then there's food for that. Okay, and you should be trying to use this, especially if you're running in any hard difficulty content. How I like to do it really is like, if I'm running in a raid, or if I'm running in sometime, or if I'm running in a domain, a chaotic realm, especially masteries, then you definitely want to be using at least the very bare minimum food. Maybe, if you're doing raids where it's kind of a bit more demanding, you want to throw in a serum there as well. Now, can they be combined? Yes, they can be combined. You can use both food and a serum at the same time. This is what you want to be doing to maximize your damage. If you are playing, especially in like a raid or something difficult, some high difficulty content, you definitely want to be using both of these. Like I said before, because these things, obviously, they're materials, they're items, and maybe you don't have the means to be having a whole bunch of them and using them all the time. So like I said before, usually I'll just use food in specific, on like lower level stuff, or maybe some chaotic round domains if they're lower level ones, or some I'm not trying as hard on, right, because I don't need to. But if I'm doing higher difficulty content, then of course I'm using both. Now, to dive in here, first and foremost, we can look at the food options that you have here to kind of give you an idea of what you're going to be looking at. So the easiest way to kind of see this here is really you kind of want to, at this point, be looking at these purple ones. However, these blue options and stuff are options too. But pretty much the purple ones are kind of going to show you where you're kind of looking at there if you're kind of trying to choose which one to get. Because obviously it goes from like rarity of like, the green, blue, and purple. Right, with purple giving you the maximum, being the higher rarity item, right? But nonetheless, you have different options here for depending on what you're doing. So you're gonna see, like, if you look at these stats here, let me move my camera. If you look at the stats, you'll see over here that you'll see attack for 30 minutes. And you stack it up multiple times, and it can stack up. Now this is a blue one. Of course, if you go down here, you get attack 105 for 30 minutes. And there's all different types of different ones for these types of deals. So you can also go look at this magic attack right here, 105. You can look at this attack plus 75 and damage to elites or stronger enemies plus 5%. So naturally, this is a very good one as well to be using. That will increase your damage, especially towards elites or stronger enemies. This is very huge. You have armor over here. So you have all different types of ones. Endurance as well, HP. You have all different types of ones. And so you can look over this menu right here, this culinary option right here, to kind of see which ones that you might be interested in. And if you want to have an assortment of them, maybe some purple ones, some blue ones, use the blue ones on lower tier content. Use the purple ones, which give more on higher tier content, and they might be more expensive or require more materials to craft. Then you can do that. But if you want to check them for the store, for like the shop, the bazaar, the player store, then you can also go to the picture here and click that, how to obtain, and trading center. So then that will pull it up right there. You'll see right there just how much it is if you want to buy them straight from there. And you'll see them just like that. So we can go to another one over here just to give you some other examples. Just go to one of these right here, maybe some armor. If you want some armor, click on the image. How to obtain, trading center, you'll see these right here. So this is an option too to kind of see these if you want to just buy them from the trading store. That's if you want to do that. Now, of course, you could always just craft these as well as an option. if you are culinary, or if you want to put mastery points in there. You can craft these, you know, if you want to craft torch one that favors your class. So, you know, if you're a shield knight, you want to kind of focus on armor type stuff and choose your mastery accordingly for that. So that way you could, you know, sustain your own supply. So that's what I would recommend in that regard. Now, let's move on to serums as well. So serums are a bit tricky in how they're presented because they're so kind of caved in here on the freaking alchemy screen. It can be a little overwhelming because there's one for like each element. But if you go over here to the alchemy screen, you'll see all these over here. It can, like I said, can be kind of overwhelming because there's so freaking many of them. But if you go over here, you'll see these little containers here, these serums. These serums are very, very huge because they add pretty big benefits. So as you can see here, you see what this says right here. It adds wind strength plus 500, right? This is for a level 2. You go to a level 3, it's going to be even more over here, 750. So recommended for Wind Knight. And of course, you have these for different ones. You see this one here, recommended for Stormblade. And you go down here because I only have this mastery unlocked for Wind Thunder because I'm a Wind Knight. But of course, you have Ice and Fire, you have Nature, which is Earth, you have Light and Dark. So you'll see these, of course, choose one accordingly. That's for your class, obviously, right? For your element that your class uses. Okay. Now you can go over here, you can look at this, and you'll see all these different options that they have. So you have level 1s, level 2s, level 3s. Now, rule of thumb is that you really should just be trying to get level 3s because they pretty much use like the same type of materials. And it's really just like, you know, you see this right here in the text. It says crafting yields price level 2 and 3, rates of 85% and 15%. So naturally, you see here, if it's going to give you a level 2 anyway, then you should be trying to craft this level 3 one. Because you have an 85% chance that it gives you a level 2. You see what I'm saying here? Does that make sense to y'all? You have an 85% chance that you're going to get a level 2 anyway. So you should be trying to just, if you're going to craft these yourself, just go ahead and just try to get this mastery up to 3 if you have 3 points. Just get it up to 3. Just craft that. Craft level 3. It makes the most sense. That way you know you have you're crafting level 3s, you're trying for level 3s, and you're getting level 2s if you don't get level 3s. Otherwise, if you try to do level 2s, you'll see here, you have a 20% chance of getting a level 1. You definitely don't want a level 1 at this point, right? So it makes more sense to just try to, you know, jump up there and get that level 3. So that way, you know, if you're getting level 2s, you at least have level 2s. You can use those more sparingly and then kind of save your level 3 ones, like the high tier content, those big raids or whatnot, you know. So it's how we kind of utilize it in that regard. Like I said, these can be overlapped. Food and serums can work together at the same time. Now, of course, they have different cooldowns. Well, not cooldowns, but durations. That lasts for 10 minutes, serums do. Whereas food generally lasts for 30 minutes, but they can both be stacked up to a maximum time frame of 720 minutes, as you can see right here. So, I would recommend this heavily. Now, like I said before, when we spoke on this at the very beginning, the way that you should approach this is save the serums for more higher tier type stuff, like when you really want to use them, really want to be doing damage, save them for that. But you should more or less always be using food for pretty much any type of like main content, like chaotic domains, chaotic realms, diamond vaults, you know, all that stuff. You should pretty much be using food for that. You don't really need to be using food if you're doing like hunts in the open world. There's no reason. I mean, you have like 50 other people there. You know what I'm saying? There's not a whole lot of reason to be doing that. However, I mean, you can if you want to. Or if you want to use a low level one. If you're crafting it, then you probably have some lower level ones, because when you craft food, there's an opportunity for it to be like a level 1, level 2, level 3. So you'll probably have some lower level ones. You might save the higher tier ones for some higher content. Now, if you're directly trying to craft these, y'all, just let me show you this real quick. If you're directly trying to craft these, that way you know a visual example here. If you're trying to craft these, the Culinary Guild is over here, and the Alchemy is a bit over yonder. So let's go over here and just kind of show you over here. Culinary is very easy to find. So you'll see Culinary Guild is over here, down below. And you see this here, boom, and I would go in here and I would, make some food, right? So you can do like that. This is right here by, give you all a visual example for anyone who needs it. This is right here by this number right here. So it's right by the whole gearing section where you would normally go down these steps, where you would see that. Now, if you're looking for the Alchemy Guild, the Alchemy Guild is a bit further. Whereas the Alchemy Guild is actually going to be where the Imagines are at. So if you're familiar where the Imagines are at, then it's right there. So over here, you see this is the very center by the Pioneer spot. And you go over here, it's going to be down here. So this is where you would go for like your battle Imagines as well. Alchemy is right here. So you'll see Alchemy right here. You would go here, and so, you would want to create a Serum, at least I unlocked this chain, so I would want to create those. And bada bing, bada boom. So of course, per usual, as I always say, if you're looking for how to get these or how to obtain, check these things, check what you need, how to obtain, and boom, it shows you what you need right there. You see this item right here, how to obtain, and then it shows you a bunch of mobs and items that you can use for it. So this is actually easy to farm because these drop from a lot of mobs fly out for the level 3 one. So that's how that one works. If you want to get a visual example or visual clarity of where both of these options would be at, there's usually an NPC here, I think. Is there? Is it just not loading? No, maybe there's not an NPC here. I'm not sure. I thought there was. I'm pretty sure there is. I'm pretty sure there's an NPC there. It's just not loading. So weird. At any rate, though, that's where the Culinary and the Alchemy Guilds are at, in case you wanted to see a visual representation of that, in case you needed one, just help you out there. But nonetheless, this is a staple of MMORPGs, y'all. It always has been, pretty much always will be, where food is kind of like a key dynamic. And I'm just making sure that y'all are prepared and y'all are aware of this, because I'm looking out for those of y'all who might be new to the MMORPG scene, and I'm just looking out for those of y'all who just maybe don't remember, or maybe, in the previous MMORPG you played, the food wasn't a huge thing. So I'm just looking out, trying to make sure y'all are aware of these things. That way it can increase your performance, increase your damage, increase your enjoyability of the game. Because by having these, you will output more damage, things will be running much more smoother. People might be more open to having you join the runs and stuff like that, because it's showing, okay, this person is putting an effort. They understand that they need to come in here and try to do their best to output this damage or help out or contribute in whichever way. So by having that food, being prepared for that, whether you're a DPS or a tank or a healer, all those things apply. You have the armor ones, the endurance ones, all that stuff. All that stuff can apply to you and increase your performance on your respective. So feel free to leave a comment down below, y'all. Ask a question, do whatever, and please be sure to like and subscribe. I will see you on the next one. Happy hunting, and remember, these things do overlap. Food and serums overlap. Boom, 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 boom. See you on the next one. Out.
Spikes content.